Welcome back to the AWS Summit Studio Shows. This morning, we had our first keynote. Very exciting to hear from Rianne, and in particular to celebrate some of the amazing customer outcomes we're seeing. From Vector, transforming the energy industry, to Zero, training over 750 engineers, to the new mining consortium to reduce the carbon footprint. What a start to our event.
Yeah, I think inspiring is a word that comes to mind, Tiffany, and it's really been great jumping in and out of the first 18 of our sessions and conversations happening over the past couple of hours. And it's so interesting to actually have this live engagement with the audience with the live Q&A. One of the things that really struck me while watching the sessions was the great diversity of speakers, of customers, and of course of the solutions.
On that note, at Amazon, we have 16 leadership principles that we use every day, whether we're discussing ideas for new projects or deciding the best approach to solve a problem. It's just one of the things that makes Amazon peculiar. I'd like to highlight one of our newest leadership principles. Success and scale bring broad responsibility. We all need to begin each day with a determination to make better, do better, and be better for our customers, our employees, our partners, and the world at large. And we must end every day knowing we can do even more tomorrow. We have to raise the bar. With that viewpoint in mind, AWS collaborated with the Dream Collective to launch She Dares program. At last year's AWS Summit, in fact, to educate and inspire women to embrace a career in technology. 1 year on, we're inviting Angelica Hunt from the Dream Collective to join us and talk about why this program is just as important as when it started last year, how far we've come, and how far we have yet to go. Angelica, welcome.
Thanks, Tiffany. It's great to be part of this diversity conversation. I'm Angelica. I'm the product marketing lead at the Dream Collective, and I've had the privilege of collaborating with AWS to inspire women around the world to embrace a career in tech. For those who don't know us, the Dream Collective is a global diversity, equity, and inclusion consultancy that exists to see more women advance into leadership and reach their full potential, and increase female representation in traditionally male-dominated sectors like tech. Research from Alpha Beta predicts that Australia will need 6.5 million new skilled and reskilled digital workers by 2025. Across the Tasman, Alpha Beta research indicates that 1 million more New Zealand workers will require digital skills training in the next year. That's 35% of the total workforce. In Australia, our existing workforce needs to grow by 79%. 43% of Australia's digital workers who are not applying cloud computing skills today believe it will be a requirement to perform their jobs by 2025. Additionally, women only represent 28% of those working in technology in Australia and 26% in New Zealand, meaning that if we can increase the representation of women in tech, we will be working towards resolving the skills gap shortage while providing career resilience for women into the future. To discover what was holding women back from embracing a career in tech, we conducted research that revealed 6 key trends. 1, not knowing where to start. 2, the learning curve is too steep. 3, the job requirements seem unappealing. 4, a lack of female role models. 5, the workplace culture seems non-inclusive and unsupportive. And 6, they've tried but can't break in. As Tiffany mentioned in her introduction, the Dream Collective and Amazon Web Services have come together to co-create She Dares, a free online learning experience designed to equip women to transition into the tech industry. This self-paced program features 4 modules in response to the research findings, and they focus on 1, expanding participants' perspectives to embrace job opportunities that exist in the tech sector and breaking down misconceptions about the industry. 2, aligning their current skill sets with roles in tech. 3, overcoming personal and systemic barriers to entry. And 4, connecting them with further job and skill development opportunities. Exactly 1 year on since we launched She Dares at the AWS Summit in 2021, we are proud to have achieved over 25,000 women enrolled globally. We've been blown away by the widespread reach and uptake, seeing women enroll from all corners of the world. What's even more incredible is consistently hearing the impact on the individual level. receiving feedback such as the following from Leela, whose background is in manufacturing. She Dares is a great self-paced program that really made me rethink my opportunities in the tech industry. It also gives direction towards further education and where I could reach it. I have been taking tech training courses in tech through the years, and I was a bit lost, feeling incapable to really pivot into the tech industry. But after She Dares, now I know the way to go and how to tell my story. And this is just one story. There are 25,000 other stories like this, and that is what we are most proud of, knowing that we have had a positive influence on the careers of so many women. Since launching, we have expanded the access to opportunities to 4 regions, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and India, and secured over 60 collaborators to connect participants with employment and tech upskilling opportunities. So how can you get involved and help further amplify the impact of She Dares? Enrolments are always open, and participants can join and progress through the program at any time. So please share the details with women in your networks that might benefit from the program. Search She Dares, one word, to find the program. Organisations can also get involved. If you're a partner of AWS, get in touch with your account manager to see how you can join in the initiative. If you're not an AWS partner, reach out to us at the Dream Collective. We're always happy to connect and explore how we can get more women into the tech industry. Finally, everyone can contribute to breaking down misconceptions about tech. If you're a woman working in tech, use your position and voice to empower other women to chart their own path into tech. If you have a friend who's hesitant about the industry, reassure them about the endless possibilities that exist and connect them with the She Dares program.
Thanks, Angelica. Amazing to hear over 25,000 women impacted globally. Quite the result. I hope sharing this information can help many more. If you have questions, do reach out to the Dream Collective. There are additional ways AWS and the broader technology community are embracing and encouraging diversity. Up next, we're going to continue the conversation with a panel on women in tech. We have Kim Bonilla, ISV Growth Manager at AWS, and also the founder of SheBuilds, plus Brooke Jameson, Head of Enablement, AI, ML, and Data at Black Book AI, who is also one of our AWS community builders. Woohoo! In a panel conversation hosted by AWS Principal BDM, Donna Edwards. Over to you, Donna.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our short fireside chat, where we'll be discussing moving the needle on diversity in tech and how you can get involved. My name is Donna Edwards. I'm a Principal BDM in the Training and Certification team at AWS. I also run the SheBuilds Cloud Up training programs for women, which have had over 80,000 women register in the last 12 months from over 154 countries. So I can tell you firsthand, there should be plenty of women out there with cloud skills if you're looking to diversify your teams. Today, I'm excited to have with me some incredible women making a difference in this space. Brooke Jameson. Brooke is the Head of Enablement of AI, ML and Data at blackbook.ai, an Australian-based consulting firm specialising in automation, artificial intelligence, data and digital. Brooke has degrees in mathematics and data engineering and combines this with professional experience to work together with clients to consult, deploy and nurture intelligent solutions. Overall, they specialise in researching and developing technically robust solutions that help non-data people harness the power of AI for their industry and communicate effectively. Brooke is also an AWS community builder, judge, not-for-profit committee member and international conference speaker. Welcome, Brooke. And Kim Bonilla. Kim is a senior growth go-to-market manager for SaaS and digital native businesses across Australia for Amazon Web Services. With extensive experience across B2B and B2C marketing, brand strategy, business development, go-to-market strategy, program and product management, Kim is passionate about helping businesses and individuals scale and transform their computing infrastructures and applications into the cloud. She is the founder and president of AWS SheBuilds, which has expanded globally, supporting and enabling over 100,000 women in furthering their careers in tech. Kim is a former professional athlete, public speaker, mentor and advocate for inclusivity, diversity and equity. As a proud Latina, Kim continues to support efforts in increasing opportunities for women of colour to join and excel their careers in tech. Thank you both so much for joining me today. You both do a lot in the diversity space and are amazing role models as women in tech. Where did your passion for this come from and why is it important to you? Kim.
Thanks, Donna. Thanks for having me here today. Being a Latina in tech, I understand the percentage of women that look like me or with backgrounds is less than 2%, which is both shocking and a reason why I'm very passionate about building diversity with the tech industry. Most importantly, identifying challenges women of color face. And that's really important, right? We want to build diversity amongst women and looking at their careers in tech and building their networks to help them develop their skills into leadership. So I have also committed to create change myself, which is, I think you're doing that as well, Donna, which I love. And even though that might be small, we want to encourage in how we build more awareness and look at how we can become better female role models for women across all skill levels so they can become successful. And we want to debunk those preconceived notions on biases within the tech industry, which is why we created She Builds.
Love it. Role models and visibility definitely resonate with that. Brooke, what about you?
I wish I had a more wholesome answer for this, but honestly, my early involvement in diversity, equity, and inclusion was all fueled by frustration and rage. I didn't want the next generation of leaders to have to deal with everything I saw and experienced on my way into the tech industry, so I've been pushing for change on this as my career has progressed.
I love that. Pushing to make change for future generations is so important. I was driven by always being underestimated as a woman in the tech industry, which made me even more determined to succeed. And now my drive is to make that path easier for others, the same as both of you are doing. Kim, you founded AWS She Builds. I'd love to hear more about the origins of that.
Sure.
And about some of the AWS She Builds programs. Also, most importantly, the impact that it's had over the last couple of years.
Sure. I love this topic. It's a passion of mine. We've now created a pathway for women to choose from pretty much non-technical and technical roles with She Builds. She Builds was started off of a think big idea, as we say here at Amazon, and we've built it to help build and accelerate careers and the development of women across the industry. To help them build acumen, increase their insights and exposure of platform, increase visibility and share a voice. So we want to amplify their voices, which is most important. AWS She Build programs support various parts of the journey in tech, from entering cloud computing to the developing of the core skills and working towards leadership. And we hope that we can enable our future leaders of tomorrow and provide them with mentorship as well. We have worked backwards from the challenges using feedback from the over 90,000 women we've engaged with since 2018, which is pretty remarkable, and we're really honored and both humble about that. And we want to develop an inclusive and safe environment so women can feel empowered and inspired to excel in their careers. Donna, let's talk about some of the programs you also worked with at She Builds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fantastic collaborating with you over the last 12 months. So the She Builds Cloud Up program is something that I'm super passionate about. We created it to bring together women looking to learn more about the cloud and become AWS certified. It's really a way for women to learn together as a community in a safe space, building their confidence and their skills and their networks. We plan to reach well over 150,000 women this year globally, which is incredible. And the support from your team, the broader AWS business, and some of our partners like Accenture and Deloitte have really made this possible and enabled us to offer it for free to participants. Now, Brooke, as someone who specialises in machine learning and AI, what relevance and impact do diversity and inclusion have in this space?
By now, artificial intelligence and machine learning have permeated most industries and most tech products. So it's pretty safe to assume that almost everyone is using AI and ML in their day-to-day lives, but not everyone is building these platforms. So diverse teams of builders with all sorts of prior life experiences really all bring something different to the space with new ideas, applications, integrations, and even ethical implications. I'm really hopeful that the teams of builders and leaders in AI can begin to reflect society at large, especially now that we're seeing such incredible scale.
Couldn't agree more. Have you got any examples of where you've been able to bring your own diverse lived experiences into what you're building with AI and ML?
There's a great story here, actually. I wanted to build a proof of concept computer vision model to show a client that they could use Amazon Recognition custom labels to identify different car parts in some images with machine learning on AWS. I don't happen to have a lot of car parts lying around at home, but I do have a lot of makeup brushes. So they were a really good option to test with because they all look quite similar, even though they have different applications and different model codes on them. So I was able to demonstrate feasibility of the machine learning model for the client. AI and machine learning in practice is all about creative problem solving, and it's important to not shy away of what you're an expert with when you're solving these problems.
That's so cool. So if people want to help drive diversity and inclusion, any tips on how they can lean in and get involved? Kim?
It's a really good question, and it's something we often talk about with She Builds. And the answer is yes. There are many ways. First, you can find out how you can get started on your own journey. That might mean talking about ID&E, which is inclusive diversity and equity programs, or becoming an ally through continuous support of women in your own workforce and helping raise their voices. Or it might be challenging your peers to think beyond their current biases. We all have our own inherent biases, so it's working towards that. It's important we lead with change by establishing how diverse we want our community and work environments to become, which means at times having the challenging conversations with a peer, boss, team about doing better and using inclusive communication, both written and orally. Thinking also about how, as a business or individually, you can contribute to any change around you. Support a peer who may be going through some challenges. Stand up for women in environments where perhaps biases are being spoken of, and also getting involved in programs like She Builds. Understanding everyone has those inherent biases they need to work through, and developing this is important. It's also a step forward to building and developing your own ID&E thinking and support mechanisms.
Allies play such an important role. I've seen firsthand the difference it makes when it's allies that call out bias and behaviour from people that look the same as them. It has a huge impact. Brooke, I'm sure you have things to add and some tips for us.
That's right. And it's pretty easy for this to get really lofty and micro-focused, but instead I really challenge everyone to look broadly at your immediate surroundings. So does your organisation have pay equality? Does your organisation have education and training equality? Does your organisation allow diverse voices to be heard at all levels up to the boardroom? There's really no quick fix, and it takes iterative improvement approach for sustained success. Also, please get involved with AWS She Builds.
One of the most common questions I get asked is how to overcome imposter syndrome. What are your tips and lessons learned in this space?
Well, Donna, that is a very good question. And I think it's all about experience. I think no matter where you are in your career, you're going to feel imposter syndrome at some point. And it's really reflecting and thinking about why you're feeling that way. In life, you'll have your own experiences and you'll have your ups and downs. And sometimes the best thing that could happen to you are your failures. You learn from your failures, you learn how to do things better, or you learn the lessons that you might have not known. And I think that that adds to your experience in life, adds to who you are as a person. And then essentially, it's part of your story. It helps you overcome your own challenges, it overcome your insecurities. And I think that with imposter syndrome, there's a lot of that, especially with women in tech, because we're quite often the minority in technology. Speaking to a peer, being honest about it, being transparent and open, and really working through your own inherent insecurities. Remembering, as you said yesterday in our She Builds Day event, your strengths. Everyone has superpowers, and really believing in yourself. You wouldn't be in the position you are, whether that's in your role or where you are in life, if somebody didn't believe in you or if you didn't deserve it. So it's about you working through your own challenges. It's about you working through your own experiences to live through your own imposter syndrome and getting through that. But also remember, everyone goes through it, and you could be a leader, for a whole region, and you might have a feeling of that at some point.
Fantastic. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining me, Brooke and Kim. I love all the work that you're doing. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you got some valuable tips and inspiration from our chat today. Back to you, Dean.
Thank you, Brooke. Sorry, thanks, Donna. And double thumbs up on that encouraging session. It's really insightful too, and great to hear about women in technology and how we can all be more inclusive and equitable. And we really appreciate hearing your views, Kim and Brooke. And now please welcome Mike Hill. Mike is a Wadandi Pibulman man who works as Senior Indigenous Partner Solutions Architect and lead on all things to do with Indigenous inclusion across all of our Amazon businesses. Tell us a bit more about your role, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. Working on the Amazon Australia Reconciliation Action Plan is, among many other things, building relationships and respect with the traditional owners all around Australia. These relationships can mean we work together to, among other things, address the issue of digital inclusion.
So that's an interesting term, digital inclusion. What do we actually mean by that?
Okay, yeah, thanks. So today, mainstream Australia enjoys so many benefits of the rapidly improving digital technology, particularly cloud. The pandemic means that also with people staying at home more, commercial and public sector services are moving online at a faster and faster rate. We've got some slides up here. That's Uncle Len Collard. Part of the wrap means we do welcomes to country and smoking ceremonies, our new officers. He'll be doing that at the Perth office. There are the new polo shirts we got. I'm wearing one today, sporting our awesome wrap artwork. They should be more widely available soon. And there is a smoking ceremony occurring at one of our main sites, one of our data centres there now, something we just do on the normal now. Yeah, so there's Alex Kerr there, just really killing it right there. It was really great that day, and I'm looking forward to just doing that just normally, just as part of our business as usual, as part of this respect we pay to the traditional owners of this nation in which we live. Now, on digital inclusion, unfortunately, not all Australians have the same access to digital technologies. Inclusion is about ensuring all are able to access information communication technologies to benefit from the opportunities that come from that. For First Nations Australians, this can mean accessing training and education, being able to start and grow businesses and access critical services such as telehealth. Such as the importance of digital inclusion, it actually has its own dedicated target in the federal government's national agreement on closing the gap. Sitting here with you today at AWS Summit, an event that attracts business and technical leaders from all over Australia, it is in all of our sphere of influence and our interests to have a positive impact on digital inclusion. Making improvements in the three key areas of access to data networks with sufficient data allowances, affordability, eliminating financial barriers to access equipment, and digital ability, a person's capacity to engage with that technology. One of the ways that we can work at this is to attract more Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples into the growing tech sector to become the leaders of today and tomorrow.
Yes, access is critical and really important to really have success in this space. But what about things that we can do in the tech industry to actually be more welcoming to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people?
Yeah, thanks. So I'm a Noongar guy. I'm connected to my country. It's part of who I am. Like most people, I'm comfortable when I can be my whole self. And it helps a lot when the place I work at acknowledges that connection. There's no doubt we need to get more Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples into the growing tech industry. It is, we fill this gap in skills everywhere, including this. So today I've got two things that we can do, both as an organisation ourselves, but encouraging our customers and partners. Get to know your local nation. There are hundreds of Aboriginal nations and Torres Strait Islanders nations throughout this continent. My own Wardan mob is tucked away in the southwest of Western Australia. The main town, Margaret River, is well known to lovers of surfing and wine. I'm proud of Wadandi Mortbudja, my family's country. It is beautiful. And to show that organisations such as AWS and our customers and partners are proud to acknowledge the traditional owners and form connections with the communities in which they activate, it will really help to entice people to this industry. They can bring their whole selves to work. There are already conversations underway about encouraging young people into the IT industry, for example, with Indigimob and Indigitech here in Australia, and they're happy to talk with collaborators. There are only 27 Supply Nation certified Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander owned IT service provider enterprises in the entire of Australia. as RAP objectives and Indigenous procurement policies take effect, it is in all of our interest to work with those enterprises to build their businesses and capabilities. They all hold deep ties to their communities and are also there to serve as an entry point as well for our people into this industry. So one of my roles is to form these partnerships on the AWS Partner Network and for the benefit of both them and for our customers. So the other call to action is if you or your customers have a RAP or need to adhere to an Indigenous procurement policy, come and speak to the AWS partner team about working with an Indigenous APM partner.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for that, Mike. Now, cloud computing really has and can continue to democratise software development and access to business applications to accelerate innovation. It's really great to hear how digital inclusion is expanding on that to address issues related to digital literacy and access to technology. Now, in rounding out our diversity, equity and inclusion session, we wanted to share a demo on how technology can actually really support diversity and inclusion initiatives. Now, Sarah van den Moosdijk is a solutions architect here at AWS. She'll be showing us how AWS services can help folks with hearing impairments. Now, Sarah, before we show the demo, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to create it?
Absolutely. This idea has been stuck in my head ever since I encountered a deaf man who needed help, and we could barely communicate with each other. Then I saw a demo at AWS Summit in 2019, which could actually recognize the American Sign Language alphabet. And it made me wonder if we could extend this to recognize whole words or even short phrases. I also wanted to focus on a local sign language like Auslan, which is actually very different from ASL. So, I found some colleagues who wanted to help, took some Auslan classes and created a data set. We then used computer vision algorithms to train a model to recognize a small set of words and phrases in Auslan. So the tool that you'll see in the video is designed for a conversation between a user of Auslan and a user of English, using our machine learning model for the former and Amazon Transcribe for the latter. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video. So in this video, my colleague Eshan demonstrates a simple user interface we built to show the potential of a back and forth conversation between a user of Auslan and a user of English. So on the left, we have a panel where you can start and stop the camera to record yourself signing in Auslan. The recorded video clip is sent to the machine learning model, which will recognize the sign, the first one, as hello. In the middle, we have a panel where the conversation will show. Now, we remove the audio from this video, but we actually use Amazon Polly to take the text of the conversation and turn it into spoken audio. And then on the right, we have a panel where you can start and stop the microphone to record someone speaking English. This recording is then sent to Amazon Transcribe, so it can be turned into text and added to the conversation. On the bottom left, we show an example conversation using the Auslan signs that our model currently supports. And this is actually the conversation which Eshan is demonstrating in this video. So right now, the model supports 12 signs, which represent words and short phrases. We created all of the training data for the model ourselves by teaching 64 of our AWS colleagues to perform these signs. And right now, the model has an average accuracy of 83%, although this accuracy can be higher for signs which are very distinct and lower for signs which are very similar. So for example, we included the signs for grandmother and grandfather to see how the model would cope with signs that are very, very similar, and it does perform the worst on those. Now, this model was actually tested with 120 attendees at reInvent in 2019. And, while this is not an official study, we observed that in a controlled environment, the model showed it could recognize different people, indicating that it has the potential to perform well regardless of clothing variations, hairstyles, facial features like beards or glasses, and ethnic background. Now, as mentioned, we do have to control the environment because the model right now has only been trained with a white background and steady lighting. So actually during reInvent, we had a bit of an amusing time when the sunset messed with our lighting for a few minutes and the model was unable to recognize signs properly. Anyway, we have a lot of ideas for how this could grow in the future, and I just hope that this demo will inspire others to learn more about Auslan or their own local sign language.
Gee, thanks, Sarah. It's really sort of innovative what you've done, step in the right direction. And sometimes we actually often hear about how machine learning and natural language processing is actually being used to provide, general translation services for that verbal interaction across different languages. So, it's really powerful to see how it can be extended to the hearing impaired through the use of computer vision too. How do you think this tool could maybe evolve and be iterated on in the future?
Yeah, so Auslan is a very complex language where your whole body and the space around you is used to communicate. So there are many subtle cues in Auslan, like your facial expression, sign duplication, and actually building a setting in the space around you. And these are quite challenging to interpret with the assistance of machine learning. So the computer vision algorithm that we currently use works for individual signs and short phrases, but more research will be needed to support full sentences and conversation context. Also, when I reached out to the members of the local deaf community, they let me know that they would like to see translation in the opposite direction as well. So like a 3D avatar, which can turn spoken English into visual Auslan. I think both of these advancements would turn this tool from just a demo into an asset that can really be used in real situations.
It's so good to see Auslan in action in that demo, Sarah. Really thank you to you and Mike. And over to you, Tiffany.
Hopefully that succession of passionate and forward-thinking guests has given some insight into how our technology is helping build an inclusive, more diverse, and more equitable workplace and world. And we invite our customers to join us on that journey. What about you at home? Does your organization actively engage with diversity and inclusion initiatives? We'd love for you to share your tips or best practices in the chat so we can share them with the audience. We'll be taking a break for now, but be sure to return here in a few hours for our live demos or jump right in for the partner solution and breakout sessions. We will see you soon.